Now, though, let's go on the scene to Springfield, Ohio, where people are scared for their lives, schools are shut down, and festivals are being canceled. Former President Donald Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, spreading false claims of migrants eating pets, and something Vance admitted to making it up in a CNN interview yesterday. Joining us now is political strategist Calvin Darkin. And Calvin, I want our audience to hear what Senator J.D. Vance had to say this weekend on that issue that literally sparked the political firestorm that he started. Take a listen.
The evidence is the first-hand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
Have to create stories. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, some would call that a Freudian slip, or some would call that saying what he's doing. And I think that he didn't mean to say that. I don't think he wanted to reveal that, but that it was true. This is a horrible situation. It's horrible morally because this puts the lives of anybody who remotely could be perceived as an immigrant, black or brown, in Springfield or other places, puts their lives in danger because a crazy who wants to do harm based on what J.D. Vance said is not going to wait to bother and confirm a nationality. And I think it's just unfortunate. Politically, I think it's interesting that he said the media was letting Kamala Harris coast. Well, if I was his political advisor, I would say after the economy, the issue of immigration is Kamala Harris's weakest point. And you could actually talk about the problem of immigration in this country in a way that convince undecided voters. But when you say immigrants are eating pets, that really turns off those undecided voters who don't want to vote for the racist ticket.
I'm curious. 2 colleges in Springfield announced that they will now be holding virtual classes because of bomb threats in the area. The city manager denouncing the statements. The governor saying they have no basis in fact, and that these migrants are in the country legally, helping the residents of Springfield, Ohio. Could this have an effect on the Senate race in Ohio, where Democrat Sherrod Brown is now trying to hold on to his seat in what is usually a ruby red state?
I think it definitely could, and I think that it also could affect the presidential election. Now, I'm not saying that Ohio is going to go for Kamala Harris, but I think that this does really bring into question, these are his own constituents. The governor of Ohio is not some Democrat. He's a very, very strong Trump-supporting Republican. And I think that there are going to be consequences, political consequences for J.D. Vance because he's doing this to his own state. That's just what seems baffling to me.
Hey, Calvin, Donald Trump posting over the weekend that he hates Taylor Swift. Then there was that single cat lady statement by J.D. Vance. How is this going to play out nationwide with both younger voters and so-called suburban soccer moms?
Well, I don't know who in the world would ever advise criticizing Taylor Swift. I think that that was a big mistake politically. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people say, well, you know, are people going to vote based on what Taylor Swift says? I don't think so. But here's why this could have an effect on the election. We know that, what was it, within a few hours of her announcement, 400,000 or so people went to the website to find out more information about registering to vote. Here's the thing. There are probably a lot of young people who are now registered to vote who probably weren't going to vote before, who weren't that interested. And given that they're probably younger, they're probably going to lean towards the Democrats. And while that may be in the few thousands, we know that the few thousands are what separated the winner from the loser in 2020. So it was just a unforced error to criticize somebody whose music is really great. And I say that as a Swiftie myself.
Let's see if you have the bracelet. I got to ask this question because a lot of people want me to ask this question the next time I have an analyst on television. Donald Trump flying to 9/11 services with Laura Loomer, then saying he hardly knows her, followed by the controversy over migrants eating pets. Some are now asking aloud, does Donald Trump actually want to win? In fact, I think there was a headline in a newspaper that asked exactly that question.
Well, I think that he definitely knows who she is. And, you know, if he doesn't, for real, that's an even bigger issue. You mean you've been president, you're trying to be president again, and you don't know who's riding in your plane? I think that what Donald Trump is doing is he's realized he has reached his limit to how many new voters, how many Democratic voters, undecided voters, independent voters he can get. So he's trying to run up the numbers on his side. And he knows that this runs up the numbers among those who want to be counterculture. When you tell Donald Trump to stop doing something, that's when he really digs in. Will it help him win the election? No. Does he intentionally want to lose? I don't think so, because he doesn't want to go to jail. But once again, this is Donald Trump, who doesn't follow any traditional political rules.
Calvin, final question before I let you go. If he's doing this to impress his base, who is that base, and what does this say about them?
Well, I really hesitate to categorize 70-some million people with the things that I would call Donald Trump responsible for. But what I think it does show is a level of complicity or tolerance. And I think, we look at the polls and we see how, his support is strong. We need to realize that the poll that matters is the election. And I seem to believe that there are many people who might really support the policies of Donald Trump, but may not support the person of Donald Trump.
And
I wouldn't be surprised if we see.
For instance, I can support the policies of a lot of people that historically have been, let's just say, questionable. But isn't that a cop-out? Because we talk about Swifties, we talk about Kamala Harris supporters. Why are we so afraid to categorize Donald Trump supporters if he keeps spouting rhetoric that many believe to be racist?
I think a fair way to say it is that they either support racism or they have decided the policies they support, they would accept racism for those policies. And I think that could categorize anybody that casts a vote for Donald Trump.
Our political analyst, Calvin Dark. Calvin, finding out you were a Swiftie is the highlight of my afternoon. I can't wait to get my Swiftie bracelet. Calvin, thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you.